Hey everyone. So I'm going on live because, man, I tweaked yesterday. I have to tell you guys this story. True story. True story. Now, sorry, it's so cold. True story, right? So I'm not going to go into deep detail because I'm trying to get to the point. So, okay. So when I was around 14, 15, and 16, I was put in a placement, a government placement, because I told the truth about my stepfather touching me. And then since my home wasn't safe, they put me in a institution. Anywho, besides that point, because that's not the story that I'm going for, okay? The story that I'm going for is what happened at the institution. So, story time. Now, let me be clear, you guys. Let me be extremely clear with everyone. I do not believe in a lot of supernatural things. I don't. Like, that's just in movies, you know? Um, I do believe, however, in like things that can be possible, like mermaids, but I do not believe in like what we watch on TV, like monsters and blah, blah, blah. But I cannot help but to know certain things are connecting in my memory. Now, when I was in this placement, um, it was an all girls facility. It was in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, um, and they had every girl like overly medicated. Right now, in that sense, these girls that I was there with. Okay, we had. Sorry, trying to like line up my story. So, okay. When I went to this placement, there's a night nurse and a day nurse. The day nurse was Nurse Celeste, and the night nurse was Nurse Jeanette. And what I remember, which is freaking me out since yesterday, is Nurse Jeanette was this white lady that went to as the night nurse, right? She was the night nurse for the placement that I was in, and she had really pale skin. She was white. She had red curly hair, and not only hi, not only hola, not only did this nurse have red hair, right? She had beautiful green eyes. Now she was like very pleasantly plump, like chubby, and she had a big butt. TMI. But anyways, she was super like awkwardly very nice to everybody. Now she always wore like 1960s, 1950s nurse attire. Like she had the nurse dress and the nurse hat with a cross, the red cross on it. And she would always at nighttime go with her little pushing cart and go to each door and give us our medication. Now, on this particular night, Nurse Jeanette was supposedly giving me my meds, right? And I opened my door and she said, "Here's your medications." I was about to take it. I looked down. Sí, fuiste el primero, gracias. Escuche mi historia. So, like, when I looked at the medication, I was like, this is not my. Sorry about my cat right there. She's being weird. All right. So I was like, sorry about the medication. She was like, oh, I was like, these are not mine. So she took them back and she was like, I'll be right back to give you the right medication. I am so sorry. So there's like gaps of memory missing from that night. Okay. Which is still freaking me out. Now, when I sat on my bed and waited for Nurse Jeanette to come back with my actual medication, all I remember was waking up the next morning. So I went to staff in the morning and I was like, hey, Nurse Jeanette didn't forgot to give me my medication. Maybe she got extra busy last night and didn't give me my meds. So when they looked in the chart, they're like, no, that's impossible. It says here that you did take your meds. I was like, no, because there was this mix up and blah, blah, blah. Now, I just remembered last night um, that when I woke up that morning, which this was part of the memory I guess I suppressed and was like hidden from me, that I had a bandage on my arm the next morning and my arm was very sore. I was like, why does my arm hurt? But for some reason, I looked at the bandage and it's like my mind forced itself to be like, it's not there. And I don't know why. Like it was just like I like forgot completely that it was there. I didn't pay attention to why it was there. All I was worried about was my medication. So then I waited and waited and waited till nighttime so I can talk to Nurse Jeanette again, right? Ok, lo voy a hacer en español después, ok. um, ok, voy a regresar ahorita. Mira, la historia es que algo que me recordé, ok. Cuando yo tenía 14 y 15 años, me metieron en un centro porque mi padrastro me tocó y en acá en Estados Unidos cuando no tienes dónde ir te ponen en un centro, no es que seas una mala niña o nada así, te ponen en un centro hasta que tus papás pueden o tu casa puede ser salvo, ¿verdad? Entonces, lo que yo me acuerdo es que había una enfermera, right? There was a nurse, una enfermera y siempre usaba ropa de como de los 1950 o 1960. Tenía un vestido todo blanco con el gorrito con la cruz roja, ¿verdad? Y siempre venía, era bien blanca y pálida, era gordita y tenía pelo rojo ondulado y también tenía ojos verdes, bien bonitos. Y era muy, muy buena con todos. Entonces, cuando yo fui a una noche, ella solo trabajaba en la noche también. Ahora, quiero hacer algo bien claro. Yo no creo en el supernatural, pero no puedo ignorar tampoco las cosas que me han pasado y lo que puedo conectar con esta historia, porque esto es una historia que de verdad me pasó. Entonces, cuando estaba en este centro, la enfermera Jeanette, porque se llamaba Nurse Jeanette, um, ella solo trabajaba en la noche y otra cosa que me recuerdo es que ella siempre tenía las manos frías. Y también entonces, hi, um, cuando me dio las pastillas, ¿verdad? Yo dije, oh, estos no son mis pastillas. Y dijo, oh, de verdad, discúlpeme, voy a regresar a darte tus pastillas actuales. Dije, ok, gracias. Lo único que me recuerdo, hi, Matthew. Lo único que me recuerdo es que yo me senté, I'm gonna go back in English. I'm just getting from my Spanish audience. So, cuando me dio las pastillas, lo único que me recuerdo, perdón, es que me senté en la cama esperando que me traiga las pastillas y lo único que me recuerdo es que me levanté y le dije al staff, dije, mire, yo creo que la enfermera Janet se olvidó de darme mi medicación. Y me dijeron, no, eso es imposible porque acá en el papel dice que sí te dio. Dije, no, 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 había una confusión, no sé. Entonces, todo el día, ese día, porque tengo parte de memorias que están borradas de esa noche, right? So, cuando ella vino en la noche otra vez, yo le dije, enfermera Janet, go to Spanish, yo sí sé cómo. Ok. So, cuando ella me dijo, dije, no me diste las pastillas que me tocaba esa noche, te esperé toda la noche. Ella me agarró el hombro y me dijo, así mirándome directamente, ojo a ojo, me dijo, sí tomaste tus medicaciones. ¿No te recuerdas? Hablaste conmigo 1 hora entera de toda tu vida. Yo me quedé tonta porque yo dije, ¿cómo que yo te hablé 1 hora? Yo no tengo ninguna memoria, ningún raso de esa memoria, que yo hablé con ella 1 hora entera de mi vida. Y cuando le pregunté, ¿qué te dije de mi vida? Y me dijo, oh, lo usual. Dije, ¿cómo que lo usual? Entonces me quedé tonta, ¿ok? Porque después de eso, ella como evitó verme, evitó hablar conmigo. Le mandaron otra enfermera que me den pastillas en la noche, pero ella ya no me daba pastillas. O sea, la vi en el pasadizo, pero ya no me hablaba. Ok, y lo más raro es que anoche me recordé de algo, porque estaba tomando un té, se llama Blue Lotus Tea, ok, y te ayuda con el sueño, te ayuda con ansiedad y cosas así, pero eso es punto aparte. La cosa que pasó fue que esa enfermera Cuando yo me levanté, y me acabo de recordar ayer en la noche, como dije, cuando me levanté esa mañana, que no tenía ninguna memoria de una hora que yo hablé con ella, tenía como una cura aquí, como algo me había pasado aquí, pero por una razón no sabía por qué estaba ahí el bandage, pero por una razón tampoco, como lo miré y como mi mente dijo, no está ahí, el bandage ya no está ahí. Y yo dije, ¿cómo? Solo estaba enfocado que ella me había dicho que solo yo había hablado con ella una hora. Ahora, cuando yo me recordé que me levanté con un bandage en mi brazo, el siguiente día, que mi brazo también me dolía, todavía tengo la marca. Y no sé si esa enfermera me hizo algo o no, pero miren aquí, watch, you guys, like, es un corte bien profundo y sigue ahí después de tantos años y no sé qué es, no sé, en este momento estoy como, ¿fue vampira o cómo? Porque me borró la mente, la memoria, no creo en esas cosas, pero no puedo evitar pensar que esa señora trabajaba en la noche. Esa señora tenía manos frías. Esa señora usaba vestimentos de los 60s y 50s y solo trabajaba en la noche. Y en una noche que me dijo que yo hablé con ella una hora y no tengo ningún rastro de esa memoria. Y después la siguiente mañana me levanto con esto, güey, con una marca que me han cortado y es un corte bien profundo. O sea, es una película, te estoy diciendo, y yo no creo en esas cosas, pero esto es vida real. Y esto de verdad me pasó. Y hasta ahora estoy como, no sé qué creer, porque mi memoria no tengo ninguna recolección de la memoria de una hora hablando con ella. Y ni sé qué le maldita dije. No sé qué le dije, de una hora hablé con ella y no sé qué le hablé. Y cuando le quise decir de qué te hablé, no me quiso decir. O sea, y no sé por qué mi mente no fue a lo que me pasó en mi brazo. O sea, no sé. No sé qué ustedes piensan de esto. No sé si ustedes creen en los vampiros. O sea, yo creo en los vampiros que te roban la energía, ¿verdad? Eso es algo común. Pero que chupen sangre o que te agarren una sangre, sea un centro de puras niñas que están adentro por problemas. O sea, pues, si yo fuera vampiro, eso sería un perfecto sitio para trabajar, ¿verdad? Sí. Y no puedo ignorarlo ya, porque tengo todavía la marca. Hace unos años atrás yo dije, ¿cómo me llegué a esta marca? Lo vi, estaba con mis hijas en el parque y tenía como un vivirí y mi amiga me dijo, ¿qué? ¿De dónde tienes esta marca? Y dije, y lo miré y me quedé tonta porque no me recordaba de dónde vino esa marca. Hasta anoche que me recordé que me levanté esa mañana con un bandage en mi brazo y con mi brazo bien débil y me dolía. Pero mi mente también no quería recordar esa parte. Entonces, story time. I'm going back to English now for my English audience. So, where I was at. So she gave me I waited for her all night till she got to my door, and she was like, "Oh, I was like, Nurse Jeanette, you didn't give me my meds last night." And she said, "Oh no, I did give you your med." Like she grabbed my shoulder and she was like, "I did. Matter of fact, it was that shoulder that was this one." She grabbed my shoulder and looked at me and said, "No, you did take the medication, and you spoke to me about your life for a whole hour." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, I don't remember. I have no recollection of that. What did I tell you? And she was like, "Oh, you know, the usual." And I was like, "What the hell is the usual? That's not an answer." So after that factor, she was like, "Oh, well, I don't know what to tell you." She went on her way, but ever since I confronted her about it, she avoided me. They switched me to another night nurse that would come to my door, and she would not come around me anymore. Do not know why. I don't think I was supposed to remember talking to me that night. I don't know. But I do not believe in the supernatural. I do believe in like vampire energy suckers, but I don't believe in like blood sucking vampires, right? But like I was showing my audience earlier, right? When I woke up that morning, I had this gash. I had a bandage on my arm and there was this gash. But for some reason, my memory was like, I looked at it, but my mind was like, it's not there. It's not there. It's not there. So I just like ignored it until like maybe years ago. I was at the park with my daughters and my friend and her kids, and I was wearing a tank top, and she was like, "Hey, where'd you get this mark from?" And looked at it and I was like, "I don't know." Until last night when I started drinking the Blue Lotus tea, and I started remembering, and I was like, "Wait, when I woke up that morning, I had a bandage on my arm." And then I remembered exactly how I got that gash, and that's a deep gash. Like, it looks like a surgical gash that someone can drain blood from, like literally. Um, and then I can't ignore the factors, like all the points that are connecting to it. Like, this nurse was a night nurse. This nurse wore 1950s, 1960s outfits of nurse outfits, and she always had cold hands, and she was extremely nice to everybody, which was weird. I don't understand. Like, it was weird. Now, my mind went automatically. Like, I cannot ignore the fact that maybe, and I guess it pisses me off too, because I'm like, did I get compelled by a damn vampire that drained me of some blood that morning, and I have no recollection of it? Because I don't believe that, but I can't also ignore the points. Her name was Nurse Jeanette. Gracias, Daniel. Te veo otro día. But yeah, yeah, guys, crazy stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys believe in vampires? Do you think that's a vampire thing? Like, because if I was a vampire, hypothetically speaking, a placement with full of all girls with problems, yeah, that would be the go-to. I can work as a nurse. I can get free blood. Blah blah blah. You know. Well, story time's over, guys. What do you guys think?